Hey friends, I hope y'all are having a great day today. If you're new, my name's Alicia and today's video is a $20 Thanksgiving dinner and dessert for 8 people or 6 if you want larger servings. And I did a poll on my community tab to see if y'all would rather see one from the Dollar Tree or the Dollar General, and I asked if y'all had a different suggestion to leave it in the comments, and the only other suggestion I received was Walmart, and I got several comments saying Walmart. In the poll part, technically Dollar Tree won, but it was going back and forth there for a little while. But I decided to see if I could come up with a menu that would work for all 3 stores and still stay within the $20 budget. For the Dollar General, I am assuming that you can go on a Saturday and get the 5 off $25 coupon. But each store has its own shopping list because they do slightly vary, but the menu is overall the same. The dessert is slightly different for the Dollar General versus the Dollar Tree and Walmart. But we'll go over all 3 shopping lists later on, and I'm also going to have them typed out in the description box with the prices that I have in my area, because that's the only prices that I can work with. And I hope y'all enjoy. One thing that I wanted to ask before we get started is, what are you thankful for? Here's a look at everything that we're working with. So most things I had on hand, but a few things I did get from random stores. But we got some extra sharp cheddar cheese, some whipped cream, some frozen blueberries, some pepper stir fry, crispy onions or French onions, and these ones are garlic pepper flavored. We got a can of cream of chicken. I'm going to use this amount of cream soup, but it's going to be cream of mushroom. And then French style green beans, 2 cans, 12 eggs, a little tiny container of jellied cranberry sauce. We got some cornmeal. This is supposed to be cornbread mix, but I have cornmeal on hand along with all other things that I need to make my own cornbread, so I shall do that. We've got a can of Treet. We got a box of yellow cake mix and some instant potatoes that I can't remember if I said or not. I don't think so. But there's everything that we're making our Thanksgiving dinner with. So preferably the night before, you'll want to make your cornbread and hard boil the rest of your eggs after getting the cornbread made. However, I did mine the day of and it turns out just fine. You'll just want to make your cornbread up according to the package instructions, and it does call for a little bit of milk, but besides a little bit of milk and butter and seasonings, I don't think I use any other items from my house that I didn't include in the budget. The Walmart and Dollar General one only needs 2 eggs, but since I'm basing mine off the Dollar Tree because it won the poll and all, I'm going to take an extra egg away because that cornbread mix does call for 3 eggs. And then I'm going to hard boil 9 eggs for the dressing and to have deviled eggs. Now, if you want to have all of your cornbread for the dressing, you can make it in just like a casserole dish or a cast iron pan. I want it to have cornbread muffins on the side, so I just made all of mine into muffins, and I added extra milk to thin it out so it would go farther and make more muffins. Originally, this recipe was only supposed to make 12 muffins, and that's the same for all of the like Dollar Tree and the Jiffy mix for both of the others. It would make 12. I thinned it out enough to get 18. They turned out just fine. You could kind of tell with the texture that it had been thinned out a little bit, but it still tasted great, and the texture wasn't bad at all. And it cooked for the same amount of time too. And you'll see they still rose beautifully and looked great. But like I said, just make these up according to the package instructions. And if it doesn't have instructions for cornbread muffins, just take a little bit of time off the cornbread time and just kind of keep an eye on them so they don't get overcooked. Alright, so we're going to do hard-boiled eggs. This is the way I like to hard-boil my eggs. I just put them in here. I've got this trivet. A lot of people like to do like 5, 5, 5. I find that it works better if I do 4, 4, 4. So I'm going to pressure cook for 4 minutes, and I'm going to let it do a natural release for 4 minutes, and then I'm going to soak it in an ice bath for 4 minutes. And I put a cup of water down there so it can come up to pressure. Here's what they look like fresh out of the oven. You can see the extra milk did not affect them one bit. They still rose beautifully and cooked beautifully. Got a nice little golden ring around them. And now we'll have plenty of corn muffins to have as a side and to make some dressing out of. So we're just gonna let these chill for a while, and then we will get started on making everything else. So now I'm getting started on my dressing. I would have really liked to have found the seasoning blend in the frozen section, but they were out the day I was there, so I opted to get this pepper stir-fry blend. Normally, I do not put bell peppers in my dressing, but it turned out just fine. And right now I'm showing y'all that on the TJ Farms packaging for the Dollar Tree, they actually have Bible verses on the back of their vegetables, and that one was John 11:25. And it says, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believeth in me shall live even though he dies. And I think that it's awesome that they put that on their packaging. Anywho, back to the dressing. So because I'm working with this pepper stir-fry blend, I attempt to chop it up. And as you can see, I way overfilled my cutting board. Like, I don't know why I thought that whole bag would fit on there. But anyways, I did a terrible job at chopping it up, but it turned out just fine. We're going to work with it. But I'm just going to saute it in my pan to kind of get some water out of it. So now I'm going to crumble all but 8 of my cornbread muffins into my bowl. If you don't want to have cornbread as a side, like I said, you don't need to add extra milk, and you can just do it in like a casserole dish and not dirty up your muffin tins. Or honestly, you know, if you don't mind your cornbread being like, you know, only half of a pan or whatever, then you could just do it in a pan too. I just think that the cornbread muffins are prettier. Anywho, I'm going to quit rambling. But I'm going to crumble them up, and then I'm going to chop up my eggs, all except for 4 of them. So I'm going to add 5 eggs. Then I'm going to add the pepper blend once I get the water cooked out of it and they're softened. And then I'm going to add several seasonings. Just use whatever you have on hand. I personally like to put salt and pepper, sage, parsley, onion powder, garlic powder, and because I'm not using chicken broth, I put some chicken bouillon powder. Normally, whenever I make dressing, I would boil up a piece of chicken with like a little bit of water and seasonings, and then I would use the cooking liquid or the broth that was made. But because we're working on a budget, I omitted the meat, and honestly, I did not even miss it. This dressing turned out amazing. I was very impressed with the way that it turned out. The only thing I wish is that I wouldn't have overcooked it, and I would have chopped up my veggies a little bit more because it didn't look as appealing to have long strips of bell pepper, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit. If your family doesn't like dressing, or if you think that this is a little bit too time-consuming, I completely understand. My family really likes dressing, and I do too. And also, I see people using stuffing mix all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to show that dressing can be made on a tight budget too. But you can swap the dressing ingredients for some stuffing mix and just have stuffing. During the holidays, it's important not to get like overly stressed out because you want to just take this time and embrace it and spend time with your family and friends. So anything that seems too time consuming, if you know of a different shortcut, then absolutely do that. Here in a little bit, I'm going to be making some potato fritters, but a quicker option would be to just make mashed potatoes. I'm just doing some of these to show that it doesn't have to be completely traditional, and you know that you can have a large Thanksgiving spread for a little amount of money. But if anything feels like too much, then swap it out for something else, or just omit it completely, and it's going to be fine. So long as you've got your family or friends or both around you, then just enjoy that time together. So back to the dressing now. So after you get all your stuff added in, you'll want to slowly add in the water as you mix it, and you don't want your mixture to get overly soggy, if that makes sense. You want it to be kind of wet, but you don't want it to be soupy. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment. You also don't want your mixture to be too dry. You don't want any dry bits at all. You want everything to be wet but not soupy. You'll definitely notice at the end that I do overcook mine. This is partly because I put it in a large cake pan, a 13 by 9 cake pan, because I don't have like the widest variety of casserole dishes, and I didn't want my green bean casserole to be in the 13 by 9 because I knew I wouldn't have enough crunchy topping to coat that as well, and it feels like you get more if it's in a smaller casserole dish. Anyways, I'm gonna quit rambling. So I had it spread pretty thin, and I didn't account for that whenever I was doing the timing of it. So now we're getting it mixed up, as you can see, and we're going to spread it out in our casserole dish. If you have a smaller one where it can kind of be thicker, it's going to have better results. But you want to bake it in the oven at 350 until the top has like a crispy layer, but it's not like croutons and all dried out. So now we're working on the meat, and I know this seems like kind of an odd idea what I'm doing here. And originally I was going to see if I could use like the crock pot or a tiny casserole dish, or maybe even do it on the stovetop. But I had the Instant Pot down from doing the hard-boiled eggs, so I just decided to use it, and it turned out fine. So I'm putting the Treet, or from Walmart or Dollar Tree, it would be like generic Spam, but you know, virtually all the same thing, canned ham in some form or fashion. Then I'm going to add the cranberry sauce on top of that, and I add water to this because I'm going to pressure cook it for 1 minute and then let it sit on warm. And I actually end up like draining off the water. The cranberry sauce was still in like a large lump whenever I get done, and I forget to show this, but I drain off the water and put it on the saute function, and then the jelly or the cranberry sauce like melts down and turns into like this thick sauce. So then I cut the Treat or Spam into 8 pieces because this is supposed to feed 8, and I kind of just basted it in that thick sauce that it made, and it turned out actually really good. Alright, next we're going to do our deviled eggs. So I'm just going to slice these all in half and make the filling. So we're fairly simple with our deviled eggs. A little salt, a little pepper, a little mustard, a little mayo. That's it. We like more mustard than most people, but you know, it's very simple. Work with what you have on hand. So I'm just going to fill these, and I won't make you watch me. Deviled eggs. Check. Alright, now it's time for the green bean casserole. Yeah! Alright, in go the 2 cans of green beans, and I drained them as best as I could. Normally I'd get like cut green beans, but this is what I have on hand. It's gonna work just fine. My family don't care. This is like the only non-negotiable Thanksgiving item for us. Alright, this is about half the amount of cheese that I would get from a Dollar Tree block. We'll just make sure to get all of it.
Every single bit.
Alright, so I'm just going to scoop some of this soup in. We don't really mind not having like a whole lot of soup, but I've got like a very large can of it. So I'm just going to scoop a bit out.
I want to taste that.
I think this can is like the equivalent of like 5 cans of regular cream mushrooms, so I'm going to estimate like a fifth of it. Yeah, that's plenty. Even if that's not the full amount, or even if it's a little over, you're not going to have to be estimating, I don't imagine. So, So in fact, that's like a lot of soup. And I barely touched the surface of that big old can. So there's that. Now we get it in our casserole dish. Oh, actually no, I'm gonna season with a little salt. And now I'm gonna stir this up and get it in the casserole dish. Alright, in it goes. Then we're gonna top with more cheese. We're also, of course, going to be topping with the crispy onions, and I just put this in the oven with the dressing at 350. The dressing did get a little bit of a head start, but that's fine because the green bean casserole doesn't take nearly as long as the dressing usually does. Although today, or on this day, I could have put them in at the same time, I bet. But you just want it to kind of be bubbly and melty and everything, and delicious. So if you get your items from the Dollar General or from Walmart, you will have half a pound or 8 ounces of cheese, which is quite a lot more than you would get from the Dollar Tree. However, I am working with the amount, or roughly the amount, an estimate of the amount, if you will, that I would get from the Dollar Tree, because I can get cheese for way cheaper, so I didn't really want to buy that cheese. And I'm using about half of these crispy onions because that's about the amount that I would have gotten from the Dollar Tree as well. And you can see I have a little hand trying to nab my little crispy onions. But anyways, this is our family favorite. Alright, I'm going to get this in the oven now. So now I'm making the mashed potato fritters or patties. And my husband makes these like 10 billion times better than I. And I even followed his instructions, but I think that he didn't tell me some magical ingredient because his still tasted like a billion times better than mine, even though I added everything he told me to add. Anyways, you just add instant potato flakes. I'm doing 3 cups worth. You can do less, you can do more. But you just add milk, ranch, and water until you get like a dough consistency. I swear he probably also adds seasonings that he didn't tell me about. But anywho, I'll see if he'll make a video one day and I'll show y'all, and then I'll have video proof of what he does, so I might be able to replicate it. Anywho, we're just going to mix it till we get a dough. Then we're going to form some patties. You can fry these on the stovetop, or you can put them on a sheet tray or pan like I did and just put them in the oven. I would not recommend putting them on a baking mat because they would not get browned as much on the baking mat, for me at least. So I took them off and put them on just the tray, and then they started getting like a nice golden brown to them. You can see I've got my baking mat, and I later get them all off of it. And I'm just going to bake these in the oven with the dressing and the green bean casserole. I'm not using any particular amount for these. I am just kind of hand forming them. You'll want to flip these halfway through so they get browned on both sides. You can also use flavored instant potatoes, but we had plain on hand, so that's what I was using this day. Lastly, we're going to be working on our dessert, and technically you could make them all 3 the same if you used apple pie filling from Dollar Tree, Walmart, or Dollar General. I wanted to do a blueberry cobbler, and Dollar Tree and Walmart both have frozen blueberries, and Walmart even has fresh blueberries, but Dollar General does not. But they have pie filling. For some reason, the cherry pie filling is double the cost of the apple pie filling, so that's why I put down apple pie filling. And I'm actually going to be showing you both desserts because I had a couple of apples that needed to be used up, so I just made my own apple pie filling. I misunderstood the recipe, so I accidentally doubled the butter amount. So for both of the toppings, instead of adding 4 tablespoons of butter, I added 8. You couldn't really tell by looking at it that I accidentally doubled it, but you could definitely tell by tasting it that it was very extra buttery, if that makes sense. So anyways, you'll want to kind of crumble that together to make like a crumbly topping and pour it over your pie filling. Or if you're doing blueberries, you can toss them in a little sugar and lemon juice like I did, or you could just have the blueberries, plain frozen or fresh. I think that the cake mix is plenty sweet on its own. If I were to do this again, I would not add the sugar just because I thought it was quite rich or very sweet. but it wasn't like overpoweringly sweet, if that makes sense. I just wouldn't do it again because I thought it would be plenty enough sweet without the sugar added. So here is our full spread of food, if you will. I am going to have everything listed out in the description box, like all the times and temperatures to cook them, and you can see it is a lot of food. Like, that is 1/8 of everything, and I was stuffed. Here is a little short clip of the dessert once they're done. Like I said, you can really tell by looking it's overly buttery, really, but the taste was very buttery and delicious. I left the whipped cream frozen, so it'd be kind of like ice cream-ish, not really, but anyways, it was delicious. Everything was delicious. So as promised, we are going to quickly go over each shopping list. So from the Dollar Tree, you're going to want to get 2 of the little small luncheon Spam off-brand things, cranberry jelly in the teeny tiny can, 2 cans of green beans, a can of cream and mushroom, a thing of fried onions, 2 packages of eggs, because the eggs in my area come in 6 counts. I know in some areas they do come in 8 or even 12 counts. Then you'll get a thing of cheese, 1 of the Texas cornbread mix, instant potatoes. My Dollar Tree had large packages of plain instant potatoes, and they had kind of family size packages of the flavored potatoes, so that would be up to you and what yours has. The pepper stir fry, or if you can find it, the seasoning blend, I would recommend. Blueberries from the frozen section, or a can of pie filling, or if they have like other fruit options, you can try those out as well. A cake mix of your choice. I chose yellow because I thought that would be the best. Then a tub of whipped cream. Each item is $1.25. There's 16 items, so that gives you a total of exactly $20. And so this is the Dollar Tree shopping list. So now here is the Dollar General shopping list. You'll get a can of Treet instant potatoes, and that is for the plain kind. A 8-ounce block of cheese of your choice. They were all the same price. You could even get shredded cheese. It was the same price. 2 cans of green beans. A thing of jelly, because not all of the ones in my area had cranberry jelly, but if you can find it, it's actually cheaper at $1.25. Mushroom soup, fried onions or the crispy onions, a 12 count of eggs or a dozen of eggs, 2 packages of the Jiffy cornbread, 1 of the pie fillings, the apple one, a container of whipped cream, and that's the frozen one in the tub, a box of cake mix. I would choose yellow, but you can choose whichever one. They were all the same price. And then a thing of onion soup mix. And the onion soup mix is because they don't have any like dried peppers or frozen or canned or any kind of peppers or pepper substitute. So that was the best thing I could find. If you don't like the idea of doing onion soup mix, that would also replace like broth, because it'd be like a beef broth. You can just omit it, and that would save you $1. But you'd probably need to find something else. That way you could still get your coupon, and you'd need to go on a Saturday to get the 5 off 25. But this is what I came up with for the Dollar General, and it's relatively the same. And like I said before, you can also substitute the dressing ingredients for a box of stuffing, and that would be roughly the same price. So anyways, here's the Dollar General shopping list. Lastly, we have the Walmart shopping list, and I forgot to mention a second ago, but if there was an off-brand, like for the Dollar General, it'd be Clover Valley. For this one, it's going to be Great Value, and that's for most everything. But you'll want to get 2 boxes of Jiffy mix, a box of cake mix, a 8-ounce block of cheese. For Walmart, the shredded cheese is more expensive, so you'd probably want to get a block. But you do have almost half $1 to work with, so you might be able to make that work. A dozen of eggs, a container of fresh blueberries. If you can't find fresh blueberries, like on a sale, you could go and get some frozen blueberries, and you'd have enough to do like a full cobbler, because it comes with twice as much as the Dollar Tree, so you'd be able to use the full cake mix. A thing of celery, and that's going to give you a ton of celery. So if you're not a fan of celery, you could just leave that out. 1 small onion, a container of whipped cream, a thing of instant potatoes. Well, actually, my Walmart doesn't currently have Great Value plain potatoes. So that price is for 2 of the flavored packages of potatoes, which is actually a bit more expensive than 1 large or 1 smallish box of plain potatoes because they're only $1. Anywho, a package of fried onions or crispy onions, cream of mushroom, a large can of green beans in my area is 88 cents. A Great Value Spam is $1.98. And then some cranberry jelly. And this total is only $19.53. So with Walmart, you do have a little bit of wiggle room because it is almost half a dollar under $20. But this is the Walmart shopping list. Alright friends, I hope y'all enjoyed this budget Thanksgiving dinner. Always remember that Jesus loves y'all and I love y'all too. I hope y'all have a great day and I will see you soon. Bye.